friends. Today I'm doing something very different. As you can tell, I'm not in a kitchen. I'm not gonna cook today, but I am going to explain to you who I am. Who am I? Where did I came from? A lot of you have been asking a lot of questions, and telling me I'm from here and from there. You hear me talk different villages in San Miguel, and you assume that I live in them. So I'm going to explain to you, who am I and where did I came from? How did I get to this? Explain to you, who am I? My name is Angela Castro, but I was born as Angela Maria Medeiros Amaral. I was born, raised in San Miguel, Azores, in Lomba de San Pedro, the last village of the Conselho da Ribeira Grande. So my parents were Maria Lourdes Amaral, and my dad was Angelo Souza Amaral. They're both gone. We've lost my dad 27 years ago, and my mom 3 years ago. So I immigrated to California in 1984 when I was 18 years old. I met my first husband in San Miguel, and a month later we got married, and I moved to the United States. It was a quick process. But anyway, so that's where I was from. I have 4 sisters and 1 brother. 2 of my sisters live in Canada, and 2 of my sisters live here, and my brother also here in California. When I left San Miguel, I immigrated to California. I live in a small town of Gustine, which is located in the Central Valley of California. I have 3 boys. Out of my first husband, I have 3 boys, aged 36, 33, and 30. All men, all adults. I have 6 grandchildren. I have 4 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. The blessings of my life. The most that I'm proud is my children and my grandchildren. I divorced my first husband in 1996, and I raised my 3 children all alone. I had 3 jobs at the time. I did house cleaning, I did waitress, and on weekends I used to do catering. That's where I perfected and learned a lot of the cooking and techniques and different ways of doing a variety of stuff with food. That's where I discovered the love that I had for cooking, was when I did catering. So I catered for a few years, and when I was raising my kids, and my kids would help me sometimes. They were small, but I had to teach them that everything in life doesn't come easy. So we all went to work on weekends, and that's what we did for 6 years. After that, when my youngest son was in high school, I wanted to go back to college and get a degree. At the time, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but then halfway through the process, I changed my mind and I went into psychology. So I got my BA in psychology. One of my most proud moments for myself. That was a gift that I give myself. So after I graduated college, I went and found a job working in a school with autistic children. I worked with autistic children for 2 years. Then I was in the process of opening my own store. But before that, I I've been dating my current husband for 8 years, and we decided to get married. And so I married my husband. His name is Dennis Castro. So he's Portuguese also, but raised, and his parents were already brought up over here in the United States. I opened my store in 2011. It was a small store that we had a private label. Me and my husband had a private label. What a private label is, we bought some olive oil from a company and we put our own label. And so we sold cold press olive oil, which was a variety of flavors of olive oils. And it was the De Castro family olive oil. Very successful for a few years, very popular. I also was able to incorporate in my store some of my baked goods. I would bake a lot of stuff that would have the olive oil that we sold. So I try to incorporate that in the stuff that I baked. And then also a lot of my baked Portuguese. I live in a small town of 5,000 people. A great majority at the time was Portuguese. Now it's kind of mixed between Spanish and Portuguese. But, and it's a town that its main source of income is dairies or farming. So it's very much like home where we came from, you know, farming and milking cows, and so that's where we live. Most of the dairies and the farming that goes on, a great majority are still Portuguese descendants. So anyway, so we had our store and we were doing good. We partnered with a bakery a couple towns down the road, and we would sell sweetbread. I was able to sell my fillage, which is where it expanded to a lot of people wanting fillage. So, and that's what I did for a few years. After a few years, I wasn't doing so good, so I decided to close my store. Then I came back home, and I still wanted to provide service for my customers. And I went and got a permit to bake from home, and that's what I've been doing. I've been able to bake my stuff and cook my stuff from home, and on Mondays and Wednesdays, that's when I do my baking for my customers. So I'm able to do that from home, and that's what, you know, when you hear me, seeing me cooking big amounts of food or big amounts of baking a bunch of stuff, and even though you hear I'm sharing with my neighbors, which I do, and my in-laws, which I do, I still am providing for other customers that I have. So anyway, and that's what I've been able to do for these past years. And then this year, last year, 2020, my sister-in-laws encouraged me to do videos for YouTube. I have never done stuff like this, and I didn't know if I wanted to be in front of a camera, if I wanted to expose myself and my family to this, so I give it a try. And it has been such a great blessing for me because I've been able to express what brings me joy, and that is cooking, baking, love to share with others. You know, I'm not a person that likes to hold on to recipes, you know, and I say all the time, recipes are meant to be broken. So that's what I do. So in this process of baking, a few years ago, well, it's been very much few, maybe 15 years ago, I did my first fundraiser. I did a fundraiser for Falaj for a cancer patient, which was a friend, daughter of a friend. And I had no idea how to do a fundraiser. I had no idea how many Falaj we were going to make. We had people donating stuff, and we ended up doing 1,000 pounds of flour for Falaj, and we sold everything. So then a couple years later, after that, I did another one, the same thing, 1,000 pounds. And then in 2015, I did one for my nephew who passed away from cancer also. I also did a fundraiser for him, and it was also 1,000 pounds. So when you hear me say I made thousands, I'm literally saying I made thousands. So, and I was able to do this because of the love that I have for cooking, for serving. And that's what I did. I did for those 3 cancer patients. And then a couple years ago, I did another fundraiser, also Falaj, for a friend that lost her house in California fires. It was a young couple just had started, and so I decided I'll make some Falaj and help them out. And the little bit that it did, it helps them. And in any way, they were very grateful. But that's where I express my love for food. I started cooking and baking since I was 13 years old. Probably younger than that, but that's when I remember the most was I was 13 years old. My mom would bake bread every Friday, and we used to go to school. We would go, me and my younger sisters, my other sisters would go to school to Rivera Grande. So, and I had one sister that would stay home, and she would be the one who would do all the chores, baking, cooking, doing all that when we were gone. But on the summer months, when we were home or on vacation, we took turns in doing some of those chores. And baking was one of them. And at 13 years old, my mom said, Angela, you're going to do the baking today. You're going to make the bread. You're in charge of the bread. It was a nervous wreck because I was so scared. Oh my gosh, what if it doesn't turn out good? But anyway, so I took the chore, and it was not 5 pounds, 10 pounds. It was like 50 pounds of flour for a 13-year-old to do. And I prayed over that bread. And so I remember I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be good. So I went and put 1 egg. I put some sugar. Never my mom put eggs and sugar in the bread, but I did. That's where you see me trying different things. If there's a recipe with one thing, I might change it to something else. It's been already since a very young age. It's not just now. I'm not just being to be deceiving and be mean and be whatever. It's always been that way. So I made that bread. By Wednesday, there was no bread. That's how good it was. I was so happy. My mom was so happy. Well, guess what? I got in charge of the bread for the rest from there on. So that's where I discovered that I love to cook. I love to bake. And I've tried to perfect it, try to do all we could and learn as much as we could. Now we look back, and I wish I had learned more. You paid attention to more things. But, you're young and you think you don't need it, and that's old school. I want new stuff, but, now I wish I did. But anyway, that's where I learned all my cooking was from there. So when you hear me say, those stories you hear, me and my sisters, we all pinched in, they're the truth. They're not made up. They're the truth. We all worked. We went to school. On days we were not at school, we had chores to do. And in the summer months, we had our chores. We had to help my dad. We would go to the fields and pick potatoes and corn And whatever it was, my dad grew everything. I don't remember my dad buying any vegetables or anything that, maybe sugar. But even that, he would grow his beets to do sugar. So, we were brought up with all that stuff. We had all the stuff at home, onions, garlic, anything, you named it. My dad grew. And we were very blessed as kids to have all that. So anyway, but that's where my love for cooking and food was from that time. And I try to teach my boys to like all the stuff and try variety of stuff. And they do. My oldest, they eat most of the stuff. My boys were not very picky like today. My grandkids very picky. But my kids were very appreciative of the food. And they love the Portuguese food. I always cooked Portuguese food. And then I had to learn a lot of American food because my husband doesn't know Portuguese food. His parents never cooked Portuguese food. His grandmother used to, but he didn't associate very much with that, so he didn't eat none of the Portuguese food. So I had to learn a lot of the American food. And I try sometimes to kind of sneak some of the Portuguese ingredients into American food, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, that's where I'm at. That's who I am. I'm not a chef. I am not, I'm just a person that stays at home and cooks because that's my joy. I love to cook and bake because it's my relaxation. I relax when I'm cooking. So anyway, now that you spent some time with me and you know a little bit more about me. So all this came by accident, just me trying to see what I could not do. I love to challenge myself to new things. So I challenged myself to doing this YouTube, get going. And it's been a blessing. I'm having so much fun, and I'm so pleased to hear all the good comments on how people think that my voice, me explaining, it's relaxing, I think in a way a lot of stuff when I talk is part of that psychology that the degree that I have. I have a degree in psychology, but I've never used it. Well, psychology comes in many ways. And so my way of serving people in not a conventional way is a psychology. I am helping people by, providing a service, and I bring in memories of loved ones, of grandparents, of parents. So that is part of the psychology, even though I feel like I'm not applying and I'm not getting paid the psychology degree that I have. But I am pleased that, with all your support and with all your comments and all your inputs. And that's what keeps me going and wanting to do this. So anyway, I wanted to share this information, this little video of myself, so you understand where I come from. I am just a simple person that just immigrated to this country. Now, I do speak the Portuguese, but I do not feel comfortable speaking in Portuguese when I'm doing the videos because my Portuguese is not that good that I feel comfortable. I have to apologize to all of you that want to understand what I'm saying. I have done the closed caption in Portuguese. Hopefully you're clicking. Hopefully you can get what I'm saying in Portuguese. But I cannot do the videos in Portuguese because I'm not comfortable speaking in a video in Portuguese. So I am sorry for those that feel, believe me, if I could, I want to reach the whole world, I would do it. But I gotta draw the line where I'm comfortable with, and I'm comfortable with English because that's what I'm speak most right now is English. So and that's what I'm gonna continue to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give a thumbs up. Those thumbs up help me. So give a thumb up, and please share your comments, and until next time, have a good day.